What's up, everybody? Hey, got a little bit of a late start here, but we're at it. Go ahead and let's do our thing, man.
Let's do it.
All right, man. So long weekend. Neither one of us had the weekend that we planned for. I'm not
No,
as prepared for this as I would like to be, but I have watched some film and all that. What about you?
no, we'll be good to go, man. We'll make the most of it. Kind of give our thoughts about Chiefs versus 49ers here. I'm
Yep.
doing a little bit of the defense perspective. I know you're taking the offensive side of it. But before we go into that, I think we should drop into some NFL news that's happened this week. What do you say?
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right. So, first we'll start off. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, not trying to really talk about the Cowboys that much, playoff season and everything else. But Dan Quinn was hired, filled the last position of a head coach by the Washington Commanders.
Yep.
Me personally, I've said my statement on it. I don't think that was, I guess I'm more shocked by that move by the Commanders because I thought they would go with a young offensive mind or somewhere along that road to kind of get them going. Um, so
Paired
that
him with
move kind
Cliff
of
Kingsbury, though.
yeah, they did bring in Kingsbury, which I heard a little bit of what happened between Kingsbury and the Raiders. From what I understand, what happened was Kingsbury wanted a 3-year deal, and the Raiders were only offering him two. So that's how that move came about. From everything that I understand from that, from what I've heard, I think Adam Scheffler reported that on the McAfee show. From what I understand with that, but do you think that means the Commanders are going to go all in for Caleb Williams?
Yeah, that's kind of the way it looks, right? Like you can't. I mean, I guess you can. I guess you can go get uh, Caleb's guy and not get Caleb. It doesn't. I mean, I guess it doesn't guarantee it, but it would kind of signal that that's your intentions, right? Like,
You would think so. If anything, this helps the Bears out, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
Because now if someone else farther back wants to get Caleb Williams, they got to come with a stronger offer than what the Commanders are going to come up with if they're going to want that move. So I
We've
think it's
seen this
a
with Cliff Kingsbury before, with kind of not quite the same deal, but with Kyler Murray.
correct.
And
I don't. I'll be honest. I don't understand all the hype around Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's a pretty good offensive mind. I'm not going to doubt that on any landscape of it. But I'm not big on coaches that don't win with great quarterbacks in college, if that makes any sense. He had Patrick Mahomes, and I think the best he went with Texas Tech was 8-4, if I remember correctly. Um, then he gets Kyle Murray over in Arizona. Does a decent job with him. Murray tears his ACL, but he never fully gets Murray to that next level, in my opinion. And
mhm.
now we're basically saying Caleb Williams, and he didn't do much with Caleb Williams in college. Granted, they had a prolific offense, I would say, but you would still think they'd be a little bit better, I guess, with him there.
Well, yeah, and just to go back to the thing about you said about Cliff Kingsbury and what's the big deal with him, I just think he's a part of that Mike Leach, Hal Mummy coaching tree, and people tend to really like that system. I mean, it's kind of worked its way into almost every system around the NFL. Some of the stuff that Hal Mummy and Leach do, and I mean, you got a whole bunch of guys that come out of that, like I think Dana Holgerson and who is it, Art Briles. I mean, there's a bunch of offensive minds that come out of that uh, coaching tree. So it's it's a good coaching tree for sure. I mean, it's not like a Andy Reid coaching tree or even a Shanahan coaching tree, but it's right up there. With
No,
it's
most
good.
definitely. Most definitely. I feel like he's getting hired by association more than anything else, I guess.
I like what he does offensively. I think maybe his best fit is as a offensive coordinator. I think he'll do well for them. I don't think he's a head coach from what I've seen, and that's not a knock. Not everybody is a head coach. So hey, what's up, Marlon? How you doing, man? Good to see you, man.
What's going on, Marlon?
Yeah, so
But no,
that's kind of my take on it, bro. It's just like it's a Hal Mummy, Mike Leach coaching tree, and people like that. So
yeah. Curious on where the Cowboys are going to finally go with their defensive coordinator spot to close that position up. Since I'm a Cowboys fan, um, I know Zimmer's in. I know Zimmer's interviewing for it. The other name I heard was uh, the Giants defensive coordinator. His name's escaping me at the moment. I know he was interviewing for it as well. And then Ron Rivera is another name that I keep hearing for it. If you give me
I
the
got a,
choice, or
I
go
got a
ahead.
question for you on that, real quick.
Yeah,
I look at your guys' personnel, and this is my personal take on it. I think you guys would actually fit a 3-4 system better. Is that a thought?
currently I'd say yes. Um, Dan Quinn
Especially with
ran a lot more
especially with
three
your boy
four.
11 there, you know?
Yeah. Um, uh, Michael Parsons has some interesting things to say about the game plan against Green Bay on his own podcast that he'd let go.
Bro, Parsons needs to shut his mouth. I'm just saying, man.
Parsons is a beast.
That dude, he's a beast. Hey, but I'm gonna tell you, like coming out of college, I was in love with Micah Parsons. I still love his play, but the more he opens his mouth, the more I don't like him.
I mean, he's young. He's trying to make a name for himself with the media and stuff like that. Just trying to get them endorsements, man. That's all it is. As long as he's wearing the star and he keeps performing, he can open his mouth as much as he wants to. In my opinion, I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you
I get
know.
it, bro. I get it,
Um,
man.
but yeah, it's a weird situation because most defensive coordinators you want to bring in, you want them to know they're going to have a long term effect with the team. But with the Cowboys coaching situation, you don't know what you're going to get. And I think that's why I kind of lean toward Mike Zimmer because he's been in the Cowboys building. He knows the system. He knows everything to that effect with it.
Yeah.
So I think he wants to see, in my opinion, Zimmer is a Dallas Cowboy. I think he wants the Cowboys to win. So I would probably lean towards Zimmer. Brandon Staley is actually the guy I would love to actually see coming to Dallas and do his thing because I'm not saying he's a great head coach, but I think he's a great defensive coordinator, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
the same kind of thing with Kingsbury there.
Yep.
Just some guys are better coordinators than they are head coaches. That head coaching position is a hard one, man. Like, who wants to be that guy? Like, who wants to be the guy at the top? And I don't know, man. From what I've seen, college level, I haven't been around the pro level much, but it just seems like that is more of a CEO position than a coach position. A lot of times, you're moving everything, facilitating everything. Of course, you get your fingerprints on the program, and you're out there at every practice. But how much actual coaching are you doing? A lot of your guys are doing a lot more coaching than you. You know,
Yeah, that is true. Very much true.
not everybody is fit for that CEO facilitator type position. So I think Kingsbury is more of an X and O guy. Brandon Staley, more of an X and O guy. So that's a good fit for a coordinator.
Yeah.
I know, like me personally, I have no desire to be a head coach. I don't know about you.
I, deep down, I want to do it deep down.
I want
I
to
think,
try it. I want to try it, but it's not my passion. You know,
yeah,
like
I actually think I would probably be better at the CEO type position than anything else. That'd be
really.
yeah, doing what I do for a career right now and everything else. I'm used to being kind of the CEO type
Oh,
with
for
everything
sure,
that I
man.
do.
Like,
So,
yeah, and in my past career, you know, with the military, I mean, yeah, the leadership position, I get it, but I didn't like it there. So why would I like it in football?
gotcha.
You know, like I didn't like being attached to my desk and all that kind of stuff in the military. I can stand it. I just want, like in football, I'd rather just be left alone in my office messing around with X's and O's and trying to scheme somebody up and then teaching people. I love teaching people. So I don't know how Andy makes it look good. You know, I like Andy
Yeah.
the way he's a head coach, but not everybody can do that, brother. That's hard, man.
No, I think it's real hard, especially at the pro level. Pro level, you're definitely being more of a leader of men.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what that's really going to come down to. So I think Harbaugh's going to have a successful transition. He's already been successful on the NFL level anyway, so he knows what he's doing and everything else to that effect with it.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how much Harbaugh is for X's and O's. I don't even know, but the leader of men part I think he has down, and he had that part down in college as well. And so
Yeah.
that's where I think he's going to be really successful at in Los Angeles, not San Diego,
Yeah.
when that comes around.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how they run the offense there in Los Angeles with Harbaugh. If it's going to be similar to what they were running at Michigan, I don't know how much of that stuff you can run in the pros. Although, it's not that far off from Shanahan. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
very similar, very, very similar. So basically going to see the same kind of stuff, I guess, down in Los Angeles with Harbaugh down there offensively anyway.
Yeah. That Harbaugh coaching tree's growing too. McDonald went to Seattle.
Yeah.
And then Harbaugh's son, John Harbaugh's son, went from up to Seattle to join him, which is a little
Yeah.
bit of a shock. Didn't follow his dad to Los Angeles. So,
Yeah, I think that's good for kids. I mean, when they get away from their dad and go do their own coaching somewhere else, kind of grow as a person. I think that's positive for them. I know, kind of a sore subject for Chiefs fans, but Andy's kid, it wasn't good for him to be
yeah.
under Andy. I mean, obviously that ended terribly. So, but
Most
yeah, man,
definitely. Yeah.
interesting stuff. What else? Did you watch the Pro Bowl?
I actually did, man. I actually enjoyed it. It was better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh man,
I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. I actually had a decent time with it. The skill events and everything else. I think the best part about it was nice to see the players actually interacting and actually enjoying what they were doing compared to just playing touch football, I guess, when they were in
I
pads.
watched a couple of the skills games. I watched the centers do their long snap thing, which was kind of weird because half the centers aren't long
Yeah.
snappers.
And they weren't even looking at the target, which is amazing on one side, and it's kind of like, are you guys trying at all?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, maybe just take a peek, right? The one long snapper, I mean, he won it for the NFC because he just went straight for the ones there
Yep.
and just added them up, which I thought was, hey, man, we're here to win, right? But Jason was like, I'm going to be the guy that hits the 5. And he did.
Yeah. The thing that I thought was the funniest was the quarterback challenge. And, of course, Jalen Hurts had the lowest score of all the QBs on that challenge.
No, he didn't. I thought
Tua did, but Baker Mayfield threw Tua off on that. He made Tua pause, and he even admitted that on that part.
Come on, man. We're making excuses for this guy now.
Hey, I'll just say that, okay, Jalen Hurts had the lowest score for the NFC and was bad in that part of it. I'll say that then.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I took great joy in that part of it myself.
I took great joy in watching the most accurate quarterback in the NFL be completely inaccurate. I'm just gonna take my shots, man.
I'm the same way against Hurts, man. I'm gonna take my shot. I'm gonna take my shot against Hurts as well, man. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yo, what's up, Don? How you doing, man? Yeah, so Don in the chat, man, he is a Bears fan, so he was responding to our talk about the Bears, and it is good for the Bears for the Commanders to kind of be pre-positioning themselves for maybe a move up, because now you could talk to all those teams, which all 30 of them are below the Commanders, right? You could talk to those other teams and say, hey, the price just went up to move up.
So, Don, if you can hear this and you're answering questions on this, I'm curious as a Bears fan, would you want the Bears to trade, let's just say swap back to 2, and then either draft a quarterback and trade Fields at that point at number 2, because now you're getting even more picks, or would you rather just move on and draft and build around Fields with what you get from there? So if you get a chance to answer that, please let me know. I'm curious what you think as a Bears fan as far as that goes with that.
For sure. And then Marlon says, when does the NFL free agency start? It starts in March, Marlon. I don't know the exact date. It's usually around the 16th. It's usually around my birthday, right? So
yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
An official season starts, I believe, is right around.
So I'll look that up. I'll look up the official date for you at some point here while we're talking. But it's in March when the new league year starts. There'll be a 3-day tampering period where teams can talk to players but can't sign them. How do you feel about that tampering period? That came around a couple years ago.
I don't know why you just don't open it up. Why call it a tampering period? It's the same thing. I don't know why you just don't open it up, man. It doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it's maybe it's to give teams a chance to where an agent or someone like that's not right outside someone's front door. So that way another team gets a chance to answer a deal, I guess, is probably the best way to
Mhm.
put it as far as that goes. Um, but otherwise, I don't see why you just don't open it up. And that's the only thing I can think of is why you would do a 3 day tampering period for what they call
Yep.
it with that.
So it looks like this year will be March 13th again. It was
Mhm.
March 13th last year is when that tampering period begins, and then March 15th is the actual official start of free agency. So teams can go ahead and ink the deals that they already have in place over the free agency tampering period, like you alluded to,
Yeah.
which is kind of dumb. I know they put the tampering period in there because it was used to be a thing where guys would kind of get talked to early, and then as soon as free agency opened, you were getting contracts done, and it's like, okay, well, you weren't supposed to be talking to anybody. How'd that deal get done?
Yeah.
So I don't
And
know. I
so, yeah,
guess
that's what I mean to give a little bit of chance for someone else to at least come in and give someone an offer. I'm assuming is
yeah,
what that 3 day window is for to be able to answer to that question on that standpoint of it.
for sure, for sure. So yeah, what else? Other NFL news do you want to go over before we get into this game plan stuff?
Oh, what else is happening around the league? I mean, Jerry Jones said Dallas is going all in. I have my own personal opinion on what he means by going all in for this next season. Um, when he says all in to me, I just think that means he thinks he has a very strong hand currently as the team sits, and he's going all in with what he has. Doesn't mean he's going to go out and just buy a bunch of free agents and
Mm-hmm.
boost the team up. I'm thinking old school poker hand that he believes he has the best hand there, and he's just going to go all in with what he got. Um,
Yep.
Putting all his faith behind Dak, behind McCarthy. Doesn't mean he's going to go out and sign Saquon, sign Derrick Henry, sign defensive tackles or anything to that effect with it. Like if Chris Jones, for whatever, slides through free agency, I don't think he's going after Chris Jones. I don't think they'll have the money to do it. So that's my opinion on what all in means for Jerry. I know you were really big on the Senior Bowl that happened
Yep.
down in Mobile. Anything big you see down there?
Yeah, I saw a lot of guys I like, man, and I don't want to get too much into it right now until we get
Mm-hmm.
into our draft phase. But
Okay.
definitely, some guys made some money for themselves. Lad McConkey is the wide receiver that I think made money for himself. There was clips all over Twitter and everything of his impeccable footwork and his great route running. So actually, I haven't been a big Lad McConkey fan. He's been tied to the Chiefs a few times, and I just haven't been real super fired up about it. He turned the tide for me a little bit at the Senior Bowl, seeing him work against great talent and work with the quarterback that he didn't know, and the guy was open all day long, so that was good. Tez Walker lost himself some money. He's another wide receiver that this wide receiver group, in my opinion, like this draft is about wide receivers, not just because I'm a Chiefs fan and we need them, but because it's a super deep wide receiver class. So it's kind of what everybody talks about. Tez Walker, man, elite speed, probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest wide receiver in the draft. We'll see when he lines up and run his 40s, but functionally speed on the field wise, definitely one of the fastest guys in the draft. Can't catch a ball, can't catch a football. So I think he probably dropped out of the first round. We hope
Like a
someday he'll
Kadarius
probably.
Tony.
Lord.
Hey, have you seen
Lord.
Kadarius Tony's Senior Bowl highlight where he makes the move and he's wide open and he drops the pass?
I haven't actually. It's weird to me because he has the career high for um, low or career low, I should say, for drop rates at Florida. Like
Yeah.
he didn't drop a lot of balls, man, in college. I don't know what his problem is. And then I've seen that dude make plays. Like I don't know how popular this clip was outside of Chiefs Kingdom, but last year I watched him go up and climb a ladder, and while he's climbing a ladder, he's fixing his gloves and then catches the ball.
Huh.
Like you have unbelievable talent and ability, and just sometimes it just doesn't. I don't know, man. I don't get it with him. But yeah, there was a bunch of other guys that made themselves some money. A couple tackles performed really well that we'll talk about and show. Ben Sinnott performed very well at the tight end position. The quarterbacks didn't do very well. That was my thoughts on the quarterbacks. They just didn't look good. Um, Spencer Rattler was okay. He probably made himself a
Yeah.
little bit of money and kind of comforted people a little bit. He was probably I know he was the best quarterback because I think he got player of the game or whatever. So the other quarterbacks just didn't look great. Sam Hartman from Notre Dame, he showed that he has a little bit of legs. He's not super fast, but he can move around a little bit. Um, Marlon wants to know if Tony will be active on
I don't
Sunday.
think so.
They haven't said anything, man. I doubt it, dude. But um, they're talking about activating Sky Moore off of IR. Jerick McKinnon looks like he's going to be back. So they'll be close to full strength. Who plays is kind of up to them. I wouldn't mix stuff up right now. Keep it the way you've been for the whole playoffs, in my opinion. Sprinkle those guys in as needed, but I wouldn't go putting Sky Moore into the game plan.
I don't blame you. Don't blame me there.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that was kind of my take from the Senior Bowl. I didn't think one guy that a lot of people talk about on the defense is Cam Kinchens out of Miami, safety. I've heard a lot of big talk about him. I'll be completely transparent. I haven't watched a ton of film on him yet, but what I saw at the Senior Bowl didn't flash. So
Gotcha.
yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the Senior Bowl. I don't know if I missed anything.
Don't think so. I honestly didn't get a chance to watch much coverage of it or anything like that. Let's just say put Tony in, justice for Tony.
Bro, come on, man. Oh, Lord. No, we ain't putting this dude in, man. We're about to free Tony is what we're about to do. I told you my feelings last week. Is like, dude,
You would
I'm
have cut
done
him.
with the
You
Herman.
said you would. You said you would have got rid of him.
I would already cut him with that
Yep.
BS he pulled on Instagram. Nah, man, we ain't got time for that. And I've been one of the biggest Tony supporters too. Like, oh, he's gonna be okay. This, that, and the other thing. But
You have been. I remember earlier, I think on our first podcast, you said you guys don't win the Super Bowl last year without him.
and you don't. I mean, he holds a Super Bowl record for the longest return. I mean, he had a touchdown as well. That was, I mean, it's wide open, but it was schemed open. But it's a touchdown. So
Yep.
I mean, he impacted that game. So yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for the kid. I hope he finds a mentor, but that's what he needs.
I hope so too, man. He got a lot of talent. Hopefully, he just puts it together some kind of way.
Yeah,
And
I don't think his athletic ability is going anywhere. He just needs a work ethic or something. I don't know what the issue is.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. Oh, we talked about something off screen. Do you want to talk about the Eagles Brazil game?
Oh yeah, the Eagles will be starting the season in Brazil, week 1, as part of the NFL playing overseas, out of the country. I'm not a huge fan of it, especially week 1. I don't know. Not you said you think, but week 1's the best week to do it if they're going to do it. I think if you're going to consider the Eagles home game, let the home team play at home for week 1. Let the crowd get completely into it. Let them feel that energy. Don't put them off in Brazil or anything to that effect with it. I think it's kind of putting them behind the 8 ball a little bit, especially if they lose that game because it's already on foreign soil and everything else to that effect with it. So I'm not a huge fan of the overseas games unless you're going to consider them both teams playing a road game. So you don't affect their home crowd or anything to that effect with it. I'm fine with that if you want to try to do it that way.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with trying to expand the NFL game or anything to that effect with it. They've done a great job with that. Roger Goodell has done a great job of expanding the game overseas, especially in Germany. From what I understand, the Germans love the NFL football product and everything else to that effect with it.
Yep.
But for week 1, I'm not a huge fan of the Eagles having to play in Brazil. Hopefully, it is not going to be against my Dallas Cowboys because I don't want them playing over their first game.
I have questions about the whole overseas stuff. Like, we had NFL Europe, man. Like, what's wrong with that? I don't like traveling overseas for games. Like, that's a long flight. There's jet lag. And we're affecting seasons here for
Yeah.
teams that are good. You know, like I don't love it. I don't love it either, man. But like I said, like you alluded to, I did say that maybe week 1 is the week to do it. You can go early that way because you don't have a previous game. So if you want to leave Wednesday week prior, you can do that. So here's Don actually answered your question. He says trade and take Marvin Harrison Jr. Not interested in
So
a quarterback.
no. So making the trade back to 2, I'm assuming, and then taking Harrison at number 2 is my guess with
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Or wherever you got to drop to get Harrison is my assumption.
Yeah, I would be interested in, if I was the Bears, I'd be really interested in dropping to 3.
Who's at 3 currently? I'm not sure who's there.
I think the Patriots.
Is it the Patriots? Okay.
Might be the Patriots. 4 is the Cardinals. I would also be interested in the Cardinals. I've done a few mock drafts, and I've been pretty consistently able to get Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4, whether I'm the Bears or somebody else.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. Because it's seemingly setting up for possibly all 3 quarterbacks to go 1, 2, 3.
That's what they're predicting right now is all 3. We're
Yeah.
3 quarterbacks going first 3. I think I heard 6 of the top 11 picks possibly being a quarterback or something to that effect with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have to see how that fully plays out
Yeah.
when that time comes around and everything else.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into full-on draft mode and breaking down some of these guys. I have some presuppositions, I suppose, but I just want to get the film and really know what for sure I'm looking at. I did some of that this last weekend with the Senior Bowl and all that, but I'm ready to get fully on into it. So Don says, build the team, plenty of holes, pick a quarterback further down for next year if needed. Yeah, I actually did a mock draft for Don, and we ended up getting Spencer Rattler later on, like 4th or 5th round, something like that, and stashing him away. You got a decent backup at the very least that way. You got a guy that can potentially play as well. As we can see right now in the Super Bowl, we got a 7th round quarterback playing. So
Correct.
You never know. You never know. Spencer
I don't have
Rattler is
any-
the guy that he's always had talent.
I don't have any issues with Justin Fields. I just think they just need to let the guy play. Just let
I do
him
too.
loose.
And also run an offense that makes sense for him. Run a system that makes sense for him. Seemingly, when they let him use his legs, they design the scheme around him. They run bash and all that kind of stuff. It works, man, and it loosens up the passing game, and he's able to do a little bit more. He ended the season playing pretty well.
Yeah, I thought, like I said, a few things happened. The Bears would have been in the playoffs if they would have beat the Packers that last game of the season. If there would have been a couple other things that would have happened for them. So,
yeah. Hey, we got 6 people in the chat right now, so that's awesome. Hey guys, if you can hit a like for us, hit a like, share it, all that kind of good stuff. It helps us. Comments always help as well. So appreciate you guys.
Correct. All right, you ready to dive into this Chiefs versus 49ers Super Bowl?
I am.
I know you're super excited about it, especially as a Chiefs fan and everything else. I'm going to let you take the floor first.
Okay.
You can pick which side you want to start with. Go ahead and I'll let you take it first.
Yeah, so both of these teams are more similar than people might think about some of the stuff that they do. There is a West Coast base to all of this stuff, so you see some of the same concepts run, you see some of the same formations run, you see a lot of motions from both teams on offense, and that's all chess pieces to try to get people matched up and try to make a defense declare what coverage they're running. I went back. I'll start on the Chiefs side. Went back to the 2022 game against the 49ers because that's fairly recent. Most of the team is the same. I know my buddy Jason said that there was a bunch of guys injured that game. I didn't see it on film. Their main guys were there. They had Hufanga, they had Warner, they had Greenlaw, and they had Bosa. And if you got those 4 guys out there on the field, you really can't complain too much about injuries. So what I did notice in that game, and obviously a different defensive coordinator, I think, last year with, what's his name? His name just escaped. DeMeco Ryans, yeah. DeMeco, I think, is a superior defensive coordinator to what's his name? Willis Willick?
Not sure on this. Not sure who they got there right now.
My bad. Apologies to my Niners fans. If you guys can pop his name in the chat, I would appreciate that. But I think he's a better defensive coordinator, but they are running a lot of the same stuff. I think towards that in that 3-game skid, the defense was struggling a little bit. They were trying to get a little bit more complex than they normally do. Um, but when I put on the film of the Niners Lions game, which I watched 3 times, I think you see a lot of the same exact stuff. Yeah, Wilkes. Sorry, Aiden.
Wilkes. Yep.
Appreciate that.
Steve
Yeah,
Wilkes.
Steve Wilkes. That's right. So yeah, when you pop on the Niners Lions game, they're running a lot of the same stuff defensively that they ran against us in 2022. So not a lot has changed. Just as kind of a lead into all of this. What I will say is they ran a lot more man against us in 22 than most people expect. They started out the first 2 drives trying to run a lot of man, and they wanted Fred Warner to spy Patrick Mahomes. They spied Patrick Mahomes every chance they had with Fred Warner, which takes Fred Warner out of coverage. Which was a big reason why they had some problems. When they were in man with us, that's not favorable. We did some things with motion to get them lined up with some people they don't want to be lined up with. They don't particularly like to follow people, even when they are running man. And then their zone also ends up looking a lot like man because they play heavy match principles. Their cover 6 can often turn into man really quickly, and we did that to them a lot on purpose. So position formationally, we're gonna look to dictate some things to them. I really love bunch this week against them. I think we'll see a lot of bunch. We'll probably motion into bunch. So you'll probably see a lot of tight formation, tight doubles, and motion Kelsey or somebody over into a bunch. They did that a whole lot, and it was very effective on both making them declare and also getting them to communicate and get a little bit out of position. Something that I saw on both film from 2022 and against the Lions and against other teams is everybody's had a lot of success running pin and pull against them, especially out of bunch formations where they come down and they crack that defensive end with a wide receiver or a tight end and just kind of keep him from pursuing to the outside. And teams were very, very effective with getting that tackle, or even we got our center all the way out in front of a toss, basically. And that is dangerous when you got Creed Humphrey or any one of our tackles, Juwan Taylor, or anybody out blocking cornerbacks. That's not fun for corners. And Travarius Ward had a hard day. He had a hard day against the run, and he's a tough guy. Ward's a former Chief. I know him well. I know his game well. We're going to look to pick on him a little bit. We got him matched up with Kelsey a couple times. That was definitely not favorable for him. So we're going to see if we can do that. Also, positionally, I want to get some guys in the backfield, wide receivers in the backfield. I want to get some tight ends in the backfield. Number one, to try to make them declare if they're going to be in zone. Okay, show it. And then if you're staying, I'm going to get you matched up against linebackers, and that's obviously not favorable. Their coverage has been a big issue for them this year. Just looking at their PFF stats, their corners get picked on a little bit. They had 2 corners, both over 100 targets and both nearing 70-something% completion. I know Ward's an all-pro, and I know 49ers guys are going to be screaming at me and all that. We're pretty okay with picking on Ward and the other guy, Delaminor or whatever his name is. I can't say his damn name. If Jay was here, he'd fix it for me. But anyway, both their starting corners, not scary. Their linebackers are fantastic. Greenlaw, maybe this is going to be a hot take, maybe. Greenlaw may be just as good as Warner. The dude.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
The dude's good. The dude is very good.
Yes.
They are. This is also going to be a little bit of a hot take. Maybe not as good in pass coverage as people give them credit for. They were targeted a lot. The completion percentage against Warner is like 80%. You can complete balls against him. He's going to make the tackle. That's the thing. So
Yep.
can you remain patient? Can you take a 80% completion rate and just be okay with him making the tackle and say, yeah, okay, fine, tackle him. We're still gaining yards. We're still gaining yards, and you're going to break one eventually. Which I know is something as a defensive coordinator, you don't believe that offensive coordinators can remain patient.
Don't believe it, but
Right, right. So for me, yeah, it's a little bit of the pin and pull. It's a little bit of the outside zone. It's moving a lot of people around with motion. Um, they actually use some very similar concepts that we use at the high school level for against the 49ers. We call it we run Smash Colorado, Colorado Smash, just getting that smash concept on one side, and then a deep end and a post on the other, and we broke them deep, deep, hurt them in the middle. As everybody knows, when you're running that cover four, the middle of the field is going to be the weakness of that. So we got them with that a couple times. Their cover six is vulnerable in the flats. We moved some guys around. They like to match in that cover six. We moved some guys around and we're able to kind of manipulate the coverage and get people wide open for 5-6 yard completions that then they also turned around and ran for yards after catch. So run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. I want to run the ball a lot. I want to get 10 the ball 25 times at least. And I want to test the edges. They have not been good at defending the run on the edges. Um, they have a problem at the opposite end of Bosa. Bosa's an animal, but the opposite end, not so much, man. And they benched Young, so they're going to
have,
play the
have they
Nebraska.
fully announced that they benched him?
That's
I
what
know
I'm hearing,
that.
man.
I know there's been talk about it. I didn't know if it was fully announced or
I
not.
don't think it's official. I don't think anybody's letting that cat out of the bag, but I wouldn't blame them if they did bench him.
No, I wouldn't either.
He was lackadaisical, not running very well. I do have a clip I'll show just real quick of a couple things that they are vulnerable to. So real earlier with that, just getting big Panay Sewell out there on Ward, not a good day for Ward. And they did that several times. The Lions, we ran pin and pull against them a lot in 2022. We're actually not a pin and pull team. We don't run it a ton, but it is in the playbook. We do have it. We do run it. We've run it this year. We ran it last year. I would look to see that almost exact play probably 5, 6, maybe 10 times in the game. And it'll come out of a bunch formation or any kind of a tight formation, and they'll crack down on that end, even if it's Bosa, because Bosa struggled with it as well. So that's kind of my take. I don't want to get too techie because I can talk about this shit forever, but that's kind of my take, kind of my game plan, man. Run the ball, manipulate the coverage, use a lot of motion.
Gotcha.
What do you
All
think?
right. So if I'm the 49ers defensive coordinator, it's actually kind of funny that you mentioned man to man on the last matchup against the Chiefs because my fear is, as a 49ers fan, is how slow we have started off. Whereas if I'm the defensive coordinator, my fear is how slow we've started off the past two games. I feel like we've played soft the past two games coming out, kind of seeing how teams are going to attack us. They basically dictated the first half of the past two games against this defense. So I would actually think of running a little bit more man to man than we usually do during the season. Is kind of how
Mm-hmm.
I would come out. Um,
Yep.
the problem is Andy Reid is such a great play caller, is what my fear would be as a defensive coordinator. I wouldn't do anything that I wouldn't normally do per se, but I
Mm-hmm.
might run just a little bit more man on certain downs that he might not expect me to run man to man on. Is kind of how I'm looking at it. There's a great situation where they played Detroit, where Detroit put Gibbs out as a wide receiver, and they motioned him back in where it looked like it was man to man, but yet San Francisco sat back in the zone. And I think San Francisco
Yep.
should do a lot more of that this game to kind of give a man to man look, but still run zone behind it.
Yep.
Like I said, they don't blitz much. They're about a 12 to 14% blitz team rate from what I've seen for what was listed. On first down blitzes, they only blitzed 14% of their total snaps on all the first downs that they played this year. So that's not something that they're going to do a lot of. They love just playing coverage and saying, we're going to make the play. You're going to basically make a mistake before you can get down to the end zone. Um, it's like I said, the hardest part about it is trying to accommodate for Andy Reid and the Chiefs getting off to their fast start, because that's where the Chiefs have been successful in this playoffs. Um, with the way the Chiefs have started off, getting off to quick early leads and then letting their defense settle. So as the 49ers as a defense, I'm going to probably be a little bit more aggressive than I normally am, trying to put the Chiefs in bad situations, take advantage of plays where Kelsey isn't on the field, and then also just anticipate the screen passes that are coming out from Kansas City, because that's what they lived at against Baltimore. They love getting it out quick to Rice. And this might sound crazy to you, but if I'm the 49ers, I'm actually trying to make the Chiefs beat me over the top. Like, I know as good as Mahomes' arm is, I'm still going to try to make them beat me over the top and hope my pass rush can get there quick enough off the edges to disrupt the deep pass.
Yep.
Is kind of one of the things that I'm going to try to lean on quite a bit. And I'm going to try to smother those receivers as much as possible. I'm going to have Greenlaw, and if I play Chase Young, I don't know if we're going to play him.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably see what kind of energy he gives me out of the gate. And if it ain't there, it's the Super Bowl. I guess I'm going to roll with Randy Gregory, who's not going to be as good against the run as Chase Young is going to be, but I'm going to have to go with the guy that's going to give me the energy on that situation.
Yep.
But any chance we get, we're hitting Kelsey on the end of the line. It's kind of my feeling on it. And then we're going to kind of basically run a shadow double team against Kelsey at that point as well. So that's kind of the way I'm going to attack Kansas City. And I'm getting in the receivers' faces. Other notes that I kind of put down on here, like I said, beating Kelsey up, giving a man look on a time to time, but staying in the zone. And instead of Warner spying Mahomes, which you said they did against that 2022, underneath coverages, I got Warner spying Pacheco. He's taking away everything Pacheco. I'm going to count on Warner being the better player than Pacheco.
Yep.
Especially in the early down situations is kind of where I'm leaning toward that. And I'm going to hope my defensive line can just handle Mahomes. And if Mahomes happens to beat me with a few scrambles, which he's going to do because Mahomes knows how to do that, I'm going to take the chances with that on occasion. It's kind of my feelings with that.
I don't think anything you've said is out of line at all, because it's frankly all stuff that they've shown before.
I mean, you need to beat the tackles. When the Raiders played the Chiefs, that's where the Raiders were actually able to affect the Chiefs quite a bit, was they were getting around the edge on the tackles for the Kansas City Chiefs. You got Bosa. Even if I don't blitz, and I know 49ers, like I said, they're not a big blitzing team, I might give blitz looks just to make sure Bosa's isolated one-on-one.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Because you bring up a good point, and it was something that I was going to bring up and I forgot because I'm not as prepared and responsible as you. I didn't make notes, but something that I was watching on film, I was thinking, they don't even really stunt a lot. Protection, as far as the quarterback goes, setting up protection is fairly easy against this team.
Yes.
And what they will do is, I don't know if you noticed it, but what they will do is they'll set Bosa up all the way at the 9, which for everybody that doesn't know what that means, that's all the way wide. You're way out wide. And then they put the other 3 guys center and over. So you have this big gap, and they'll fill that with Warner, that gap. And then what they'll do is they're trying to make you slide to those other guys and get Bosa one-on-one with your tackle.
Correct.
So you agree with that?
No, I agree with that. Like I said, they're not a big stunt team. They'll run them, but they're not a huge stunt team. They're basically, these are our guys. We assembled this defensive line to be better than whatever offensive line you're going to put out there. And we believe we're going to beat you up front.
Yeah.
I mean, their true belief, the way I watch the 49ers play is, and unfortunately the playoffs, they've given up a lot of yards rushing in the playoffs. And I think teams have taken advantage of the fact that, of the way the 49ers tend to play defenses, 49ers seem to tend to believe, yes, you might get a few rushing yards, but we're going to make a play to get you into third down and long eventually in that
Mm-hmm.
scenario. And that's when
Yep.
our defensive line can just unleash on you. Or we're going to drop back, play our coverage. You're going to have to throw it short underneath, and we're going to make the tackle on you.
Correct.
That's kind of the way the 49ers come off, the way they play. They're going to have to do something with Kelsey because I can see Kelsey having a really big game this game. It's just with the way the 49ers play defense. So, but I mean, that's kind of my take on the 49ers game plan with this. The pass rush needs to beat the tackles. I'm forcing Mahomes to throw deep, and I'm going to hope my pass rush I'm going to trust my pass rush to get there. Not hope my pass rush gets there. I'm trusting my pass rush to be able to get there to disrupt the deep pass plays that Mahomes wants to throw.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, jumping the screens. We saw the Baltimore Ravens, how quickly they adjusted and how fast they were flying to all the screens that Kansas City started throwing in that game and kind of shut down that Chiefs offense a little bit.
Yep.
But while the Chiefs have found a rhythm, especially here in the playoffs, it's off to quick starts, and then it almost kind of settles down after that. So if you're the 49ers defense, you've got to, even if they move the ball, you got to hold them to field goals on these first couple drives is the way I feel most dynamic about that, is you got to hold them to field goals on those situations.
How much of that cover 4 are you going to run?
I mean, through the year, they ran it. I got the total here. It was ran 17%. That was their 17% coverage that they ran throughout the year.
They're a lot cover 6, right?
Yep.
I saw a lot of cover 6.
Cover 6 and cover 3 is what Match Quarters listed as their top coverages that they run. They ran cover 3. Sorry, just trying to find it real quick. 38% of the time is what they ran for their main defense is cover 3. So, if I'm them, gosh, that cover 4. To me, their cover 4 is mostly a third down and long situation. They like to sit in that cover 3 on first down quite a bit. With Mahomes, with the pass rush, fourth downs, I'm probably running possibly some cover 4, but I don't even know. Me as a game plan person, I don't know if I would do that because I feel like Mahomes is good enough to where if that pass rush doesn't get there, he's going to find someone for sure if you're sitting in cover 4. That's kind of how I feel about that.
Yep.
Someone's going to break open on that eventually.
Mahomes is notoriously good against zone coverage. Notoriously good.
And
even when it's matched.
Yes. The storyline all year has been the Chiefs wide receivers haven't been that great. Like they've improved as this year has gone on, but that has been the storyline all year is these Chiefs receivers haven't been that great. So I'm pressuring them as much as possible. I'm in their face as much as possible. Even if I'm running a zone, I am in their face. I'm not giving them free releases or anything to that effect with it. That's kind of my feelings with that. And then,
something that I saw them break out against us in cover in 2022 that I don't see them do a ton of is they ran some true cover 2.
And I think that was
what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I think that was a Ryan's staple though, DeMarco Ryan's staple.
Yeah,
to kind of mix up that coverage a little bit. Wilkes, I'm not sure. They ran cover 2 when I broke it down, trying to see on first down. They ran cover 2 only 3.4% of the time this year. On first down situations, so they're not a big cover 2 team whatsoever. Even on third down, I broke it down to where they ran cover 2. I got the number. It said 1.4% of the time on third down is where they ran.
Would you be tempted to bring that out to kind of shut some of those screens down and kind of you can get in the face of the receivers in zone and not worry about getting beat over the top? Would you be tempted to bring it in a little bit more or no?
If my guys are comfortable doing it, if they're comfortable doing it, because we haven't ran it that much.
Yeah.
So that'd be the flip side to it.
Yeah. Dance with the girl that brought you, right?
Yeah. You got to dance with what got you there to a point. Mix in a little bit of changes and stuff like that. But you dance with what got you there is what you got to do, in my opinion, with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I think that's a good game plan. Definitely make the Chiefs receivers beat you. That would be that's my fear actually is that they just say, all right, beat us over the top. So I think that's a good game plan, man. Anything else?
And I mean, you're dealing with Pacheco, the Chiefs. Pacheco averaged 14 carries a game at the start of the regular season. It's up to 21 carries a game now through the playoffs. Part of me, statistics because the Chiefs have had a lead also in the playoffs. So I'm
Yep.
curious, and if you keep that close, how that number changes. Everyone's making a bigger deal about it than I believe. But I think his carries have gone up because the Chiefs have been in control of these games, and they're just at the point where we got the lead. Let's run the clock. Our defense is playing well.
Yep.
So it's a good stat. It's a good way to show that they're more committed to the run, but also I believe that's part of just the flow of the game as well with that. But I do
Well,
believe
and
they're
I
going to
think
move up Pacheco.
I think another thing that I didn't bring up during my game plan is we've been using 12 and 13 personnel a lot, and
Yes.
increasingly so in the playoffs. So I would like to bring that out quite a bit, and get two tight ends lined up on one side. One thing is I'm going to keep Kelsey back off the line of scrimmage, and I'm going to put Gray on this line of scrimmage when I do that, because I want to move Kelsey around, but I also don't want you to touch him. So yeah, that's something. It's going to be a chess match. I think it's interesting that our game plans kind of matched up, you and I, because we didn't talk about this at all
No, we didn't.
before. Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. I think that's pretty good. Anything else on that before we move on and do 49ers offense?
No, I think we're good on that. I think, well, one note that 49ers, like I said, they don't blitz much. If they do blitz, I'm trying to blitz opposite of the side of Kelsey because I don't want Mahomes to already be looking at Kelsey and seeing a blitz coming and knowing he's going to have that one-on-one coverage. So I'm going to try to blitz opposite side of Kelsey. Or when the Chiefs do one of their substitution packages where Kelsey comes out, that might be
Yep.
another time I'm bringing pressure because that
Yep.
security blanket to me is gone for him.
For sure, man. For sure. Hey guys, we got 5 likes. We got 7 people in here. Please give us 2 more likes if you can.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Feel free to
With,
interact. You got anything you want to put in as well?
yeah,
We're more than happy to interact with you.
yeah. The more interaction we get, the better, man. Honestly, it helps us out a lot, and plus, it's enjoyable to us more important than like growing the channel and all that stuff. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we actually enjoy it when we
Yeah,
get off of a stream and we have a lot of interaction, man. That's the first thing we always talk about. Man, that was fun talking to everybody. So yeah, please interact. With that, I think we're probably ready to go into 49ers offensive game plan, right?
correct. Now, because you're a Chiefs fan, don't say it's 3 carries up the middle or anything to that effect. With
Not at all. I would love to be in charge of the 49ers offense. I love their tools, love their weapons. I like a lot of the stuff they do. I would do some stuff differently because I'm just different, but I like what they do. I'm going to talk about one of the run plays that they like the most. And everybody knows that they're an outside zone team. Everybody knows about that. Everybody talks about that endlessly. I'm not going to bore anybody with that. But what I will talk about is I will talk about count. But a version of counter tray, and that the cool thing about this is you have chess pieces, right? And Debo is a chess piece because they'll run that counter tray with Debo. They'll put him in motion and hand it to him and run it just like they ran it with a running back. They don't do it as much as they used to, but it's still in the game plan. I would definitely bring it out and use it a lot more. In this game, I would challenge the edge. I'm curious to see, and this is going to be something you're going to talk about. I don't want to get into your serial too much, but I'm
yeah.
curious to see who the Chiefs sacrifice to Williams. I want to see who they put on over there and say, all right, that's our Williams sacrifice for the night, because the dude's a monster. And
Yes.
if I am them, I am trying to go at that edge on the left side of the offense quite a lot, whether it be counter or zone or anything I run. I'm trying to run it towards Williams' side. I am not in love with the rest of the offensive line. I've said that before. They are a good zone team. They do some good things. My biggest concern, as an offensive guy game planning, is looking at our right guard situation for the 49ers. I don't like it. He's a weakness. I pray to God that they don't put Chris Jones on him all night. If they do, I'm going to have to end up helping. We have to help him. So I'm going to have something in the game plan to help him, whether it's pass pro or in the run game. I think if I'm in the run game, Maybe we run a little bit more duo than we normally do, and we're planning to double Chris Jones and run something that looks a whole lot like inside zone. But I can plan to double Chris Jones that way and take some of that pressure off of my right guard, who is just not very good. Colt McKivitz will do some things. He's definitely a good run blocker. A little bit questionable in play in pass pro, as a lot of the guys are from left tackle over. So when I'm in the passing game, what I want to do is I definitely want to make utilization of all my play action stuff, all my motions. Just like I said with the Chiefs game, it's very similar, right? The offenses are not that different, especially lately with the Chiefs running the football more. So what you're going to see is a whole ton of motions from both sides this game. You're going to see a ton of motion from the 49ers. They love it, and they should love it because it does a lot of things for their rookie quarterback. Or, well, he's not a rookie anymore, but their second-year quarterback just finished his first full season, and you can't say enough about how well he's played. But the play calling has put him in very good situations, and that's what you're supposed to do as a coach. Is you're supposed to help your guys out and put them in good situations. The motions are going to help do that. One thing I am not going to do is I am not going to go out and test those two corners. Not doing that. What I am going to do is I am going to use Kyle Juszczyk. I am going to use Kittle, and I'm going to use them as weapons. I'm going to try to get those guys lined up on somebody that I think is a favorable matchup. It's a close athleticism thing with Kittle and Willie Gay, but you expect Kittle to win that matchup. I would go at Willie Gay as much as they want to put him on Kittle. If you're going to give him that matchup, you better take it. You better go at it. I want to get a lot of in-breaking routes. I think Brock Purdy is best when he's throwing the ball down the middle of the field in between the numbers. I think once you get outside the numbers, he's not quite as good. That's a function of arm strength. He can do it. He can make those throws. They're not as good. Anything 10 yards deep and on an outbreaking, I'm not loving it. So I like the in-breaking routes. I like drive routes, drive concepts. I like any kind of posts. I like anything in-breaking. I'm loving that. So that's what I'm trying to get against the Chiefs. They have a really good linebacking core, but I really don't want to test the corners all that much. I want to try to get Ayuk into the backfield. I want to try to get Debo into the backfield. I want to try to get those guys matched up as well. If I'm going to use them, I want them to be used against linebackers, hopefully. So I'm going to do anything and everything I can to get them matched up against linebackers. I'm going to also try to put Kittle all the way out, which is something they don't do a ton because he's so good at blocking. But I'm going to try to get him matched up on a corner instead because that's a better matchup for me. But also off of that, I can run my RPOs and I can throw screens out with Kittle blocking to a wide receiver, Kittle blocking on a corner. That's a matchup problem, man. So that's what I'm trying to exploit. I'm trying to use my chess pieces as well as I can. Freaking my buddy here. Look,
No, I was wondering what that was. I didn't know what that was.
he's a clown, man. He's a troll. Don't feed the trolls, man. But anyway, yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to use my chess pieces. Kyle Juszczyk should be utilized a lot. He's an H-back is what he really is. I know they list him as a fullback. He's really an H-back because they'll line him up in tight end. They'll line him up in fullback. They move him all over. They motion him. They do all kinds of really cool stuff with Kyle Juszczyk. I would look for Kyle Juszczyk to score at least one touchdown in this game. I'm trying to get him matched up on something. I'm trying to make use of him for sure. Both those guys, Kittle and Juszczyk, are invaluable in both the passing and the running games. And of course, you can't mention a game plan without Christian McCaffrey. Trying to get to him the ball quite a lot. And he's another matchup nightmare, man. I can move him around anywhere. I can line him up in the slot. I can line him up out wide. And you have to declare your coverages when I do it. And that makes it easier for my quarterback. So I'm going to do that. The biggest thing I have a worry about is pass pro. So I'm going to try to make sure I usually have Kyle Juszczyk back there to help with pass pro. So that's kind of my game plan to help in the pass pro issue because I do feel like the Chiefs are coming after us.
Gotcha. It's kind of man. It's kind of crazy how we kind of match these things up, and we really didn't talk whatsoever before this to kind of speculate on the game plans or anything to that effect with it. Statistically, the Chiefs blitz on first down 32% of the time, run cover 3 30% of the time. Pretty much what they like to run and do a lot. Just because they blitz, though, doesn't mean they're necessarily in man-to-man coverage. They might run some kind of match zone behind it and things to that effect with it. You mentioned the right guard of the 49ers. It's funny that you mentioned them. My game plan is if I am the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm lining Jones and Karlaftis up on the 49ers right side, and I'm showing blitz on the left side is what
Yeah.
I'm doing. Whether I blitz or not, I'm showing the blitz off the left side to make occupy that side of the line over there. Just to try to create more one-on-one matchups with those two on the side. And what I'm hoping the blitz does is it either keeps McCaffrey in the block or Kittle's in the block is what I'm hoping for that to take away one of those two options out of their lineup. Because I don't think the 49ers like to run much just empty sets and send everybody out. They do love to keep Kittle's in the block. So you saying sending Kittle's out, to me, I'm just like, do it, in my
I
opinion.
got use check in, man. I got use check. He's gonna
If you
protect
got
me.
use check it, yeah, if you got him in, that's kind of a little bit different of a story. But I'm trying to bring pressure to keep McCaffrey or Kittles in just to take them away, or at least I'm showing some kind of shadow pressure where maybe we step, and as soon as we see them blocking, we're dropping back into coverage. Is what I'm kind of doing with the Chiefs. If I'm a little bit with that, of course we're taking away McCaffrey the best that we can. Can you fully shut McCaffrey down? I don't believe so. He's going to break a run or catch a screen pass, do something to that effect, and he's going to make plays. You, of course, have your focus on him. I can't draw up a set game plan or anything like that we're going to do to try to take that guy out of the game, but we're doing everything we can. He's going to be a heavy focus for us. The one thing that I'm going to probably do is as much as I can is I'm putting Snead on Ayuk. I'm going to try to take Ayuk out the game and said, Snead, that's your guy because Snead hasn't been talked about much, but the way he has been playing, he is playing like a top 3, maybe 2 cornerback in this league right now, just to be perfectly honest with that. Might be playing the best cornerback play right now in the game of football. I mean, of course, now he's the best cornerback left, but
Yep.
throughout the playoffs and everything else, he might be the top cornerback, especially with the way he's playing and everything else to that effect with it. So I'm almost telling him, Ayuk's yours. You got him. And we're going to
Yep.
focus on everything else. I don't think you can fully take Deebo Samuel out of the game plan because you don't know how San Francisco is going to use him as the issue. They're going to motion him. They're going to do all these other certain things. You got a game plan for what their motion is, kind of maybe have a set coverage that you're going to run based on some certain motions and things that they do. Of course, they're going to run McCaffrey to the left and send Deebo on a jet motion to the right, which is going to freeze your defense. Your defense has no choice but to freeze when that happens for half a second to try to make a play. So I don't think there's any true way to take care of that. But the one weakness that seems to be in that 49ers offensive line especially is pressure up the middle. Now, the one good thing is Purdy will stand there and deliver a pass with the pressure up the middle coming on him. But he'll deliver it. At the same time, he'll still make mistakes with it as well, though, on a couple plays on occasion. That was shown against Baltimore with the way that they played against them, getting pressure up the middle, and he's throwing it and getting rid of things at the wrong time. If you can also take away his first option, it kind of messes up that offense a little bit. I'm not sure. I don't believe he's that great of doing further progressions downfield kind of type situation just because of the way the offense runs itself at San Francisco. It's almost kind of like this is a set play for this player. So if you can actually take away that play, you actually do a little bit better. The one thing, I shouldn't say he doesn't do a great job of progression because the one thing he does better than what Jimmy G did and other quarterbacks did is he wouldn't settle for the flat pass if that first
Yep.
option wasn't there. He would actually still press it downfield. So that's the
Yeah,
one
I
thing
was
that
I was
Purdy
going
does do a
to
little
push
bit.
back on you a little bit on that, and I would also add they do run some empty. They ran some empty against the Lions. They will do it if they feel like they need it,
Yep.
but they almost get forced into it at times. With the way the score was in Detroit, they needed to get some scores quick, and they showed some empty then.
Yep. I saw him do it against Green Bay early too. I think more just to see what kind of look Green Bay was going to give during it. And I do
Mm-hmm.
remember them doing it against Detroit as well. Um, but I mean, that would be my full set kind of game plan is we're attacking the right side of that San Francisco offensive line. Um, and I'm trying to get, of course, Jones. My opinion, the second best defensive tackle in the league. I'm still giving it to Aaron Donald. I know how you feel about Chris Jones and everything on that thing. I'm still giving it to Aaron Donald on that, but Jones is it's a close number two. It's not like he's B. It's
Yeah.
A plus and A
Yeah.
minus. We're not even A minus A on that type
Yeah.
of situations.
Yeah.
So my feelings with Jones, and I mean he's been a game disruptor. In the playoffs, everything that he does. I mean, it's just amazing the way the guy plays and everything else. He doesn't get the recognition that he deserves because all the recognition goes to that Chiefs offense. But this year has definitely been a Chiefs dominated defensive team. I mean, the Chiefs only gave up 17.3 points a game this year on average.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, it's at 13.7 right now. This is
Yeah.
the Chiefs dominating defensive team, and Spags has this defense playing like
Yep.
no other. To me, this might be the most impressive playoff run that the Chiefs have had, to be perfectly
Yeah.
honest, with the team that they got and everything else to that effect with it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing pressure to keep Kittles or CMC in the bank and keeping them in the block. Like I said, if Debo's healthy, he's going to be a tough stop. And like I said, I don't think there's any way you can truly game plan for Debo because you don't know what San Francisco's going to do with the guy.
Yeah.
They're going to put him as a running back. They might put him at wildcat at quarterback. They're going to run these jet motions with them and everything else. You don't know what they're going to do, so you can't say this is our game plan to take Debo away because you don't know what they're going to do with the guy. And you almost just have to just try to treat it as, all right, he got a big play. Let's move on to the next one. I mean, that's really almost how you have to treat Debo.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing with him. And you kind of alluded to trying to take away Ayuk, but if you sneed on Ayuk, then you can't use sneed on Debo. But you got Tutu out there that he's pretty damn good too. But he normally plays in the slot. So you can't exactly say, hey, you go follow Debo and you go follow Ayuk. So it's tough, man. They have a lot of chess pieces on that 49ers offense, and it's not always going to be that way because eventually you're going to have to pay Brock Purdy, and eventually the party's going to get broke up. But it's fun to watch that offense right now. Some of my 49ers friends, they think it's one of the historically best offenses. I will point out, I'm going to make some arguments for, because just to be fair, so they did have two 1,000-yard receivers, a 1,000-yard running back, and a 1,000-yard tight end, which is, I think, the
Debo
first
didn't get
time
1,000 yards receiving.
he didn't.
No, he's at 800 something.
He probably had 1,000 over from scrimmage, huh?
Yeah, I'm sure he had 1,000
Okay.
over from scrimmage, but yeah, I
Yeah,
looked
yeah.
it up earlier. He did not.
Okay,
I'm going to
okay.
double check my numbers real quick, but I'm pretty sure he finished at 800 something receiving. He
I'm
missed a few
bringing
games. If he didn't miss the games, he would have probably got 1,000.
right. But they did have two 1,000-yard receivers and a 1,000-yard back. So
Correct.
that's nice. I mean, you got a 1,000-yard tight end, which to me, I don't understand why Kittle isn't over 1,000 yards every year. It's almost tight end abuse, but whatever. Good for him. I'm glad he actually got used this year. That was good.
Yep. Debo finished at 892, just as a heads up.
Oh,
Receiving.
okay. All right. Was
Yep.
it what is he from scrimmage though?
Let's see, 892 receiving and 225 rushing, so over 1,000 from scrimmage.
Yeah. So you got 3, 4 guys that are over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. So that's crazy, man. Lots of weapons, lots of tools. I think it's one of the most fun offenses to watch as an offensive person because of all the pieces that are almost positionless. Like they call Debo a wide back now, and they call use check. They call him a fullback. He's not a fullback, as I alluded to before. He's an H back is the best way you can describe him, and then Kittle can do it all. So you can really put guys in bad positions and kind of dictate to the offense, which is what they're absolutely going to have to do to win this game.
So this is why this is my thing with Debo is if Debo's fully lined wide in a situation and he's on Snead's side, of course you go with Snead on that type of look and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Debo scares me more with catching a screen
Yes.
or running a reverse than he does actually running routes downfield and catching a pass and breaking away and things of that effect with it. I'm
Yep.
not saying he doesn't have the ability to do it, not trying to say he's not good at it or anything like that, but his ability to catch a screen and break tackles and accelerate scares me more than anything else. That's the dangerous part about his game.
If I was truly running the 49ers offense, man, something that I would do a ton is come out empty almost all the time and then motion or shift into whatever formation I wanted to be in, just to see what are you going to give me when I come out in wide, when I'm five wide and I'm empty and I got everybody everywhere, and then I can bring them back in, and you can literally you can put use check in a slot position, and then you motion if you got use check Kittle on the field out and you're empty, you can run that. You can have McCaffrey out there as well. That's technically your 21 personnel there or 22 personnel. So like
Now,
that's crazy.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do this against the Chiefs because the Chiefs like to do a lot of man. I think they'll do a lot of that motion and everything else that they love to do and things of that effect with it. And it's not going to be just a motion to see if you're in man or zone because they're going to pretty much know what you're going to be in, just
Mm-hmm.
based on the Chiefs' history. It's going to be to get your coverages mixed up is what they're going to do their motion for a lot of the time for San Francisco. But I go back to kind of what Kyle Shanahan said when they lost to the Browns. They said the reason why the man coverage gave them so much trouble is because most teams can't go three deep at cornerback. The Chiefs are a team that can pretty much go three deep at cornerback.
We go four deep.
Exactly.
We go
Now, the
four
one
deep.
difference in that game when they played the Browns was Debo wasn't playing and Eric
Yep.
and Williams wasn't playing. So
Yep.
the Browns pass rush had a lot easier time to get to him and everything else. But I also look at the Minnesota Vikings, who's also a heavy pressure team, heavy blitz team. They gave San Francisco trouble as well playing that game. So I look
Mm-hmm.
at those two things, and that's why, to me, the Chiefs' style on defense is going to give San Francisco trouble a lot of the time.
Yep. It could. It could. I just for the 49ers fans, like if I'm from their perspective, I'm hopeful that they are utilizing their chess pieces as much as possible. And what I mean by that is don't get boring, don't get locked into normal type stuff that everybody runs, because that's not what brought you here. It's not what makes your offense special, and it's not what's going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You got to use the stuff that makes you special, and that is having all those positionless players, man. Those positionless players are a problem, and that is the only way you're going to be able to exploit that defense because it is an absolutely star-studded defense. So, yeah,
What's crazy is just how underrated the Chiefs' defense is because I can almost guarantee you if you line most people up and ask them the question, what defense had more sacks, the Kansas City Chiefs or the 49ers, most people are going to say the 49ers because they had Bosa, they got
yeah,
Chase Young. Chiefs had more sacks than the 49ers did this year. I
yeah.
mean, the
Where did we end
pressure,
up? Where did we end up for the season on
I
as far
believe,
as
second behind the
second?
Ravens. I believe the Ravens were first, Chiefs were second. Ravens at 60. I think the Chiefs finished with 50. Chiefs finished with 57.
We've been in
Um,
the top five for sacks like last 3 or 4 years.
but when it's that, and that just shows the power of Mahomes and Kelsey because when you think about it, you don't think about the Chiefs that way. It's
Yep.
just, I mean, you just
Yep.
don't. You just think about their offense and everything else.
I'm pretty sure
Um,
we were number one in sacks last year.
were they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's good. I mean, and that's Spags. Part of that is Spags, because I mean, we saw what he does. I mean, he'll bring McDuffie off the edge. He'll bring Snead off the edge. He likes those CB dogs. He likes all kinds of stuff, man. Like he's a creative dude. And he's gonna disguise stuff, and he's gonna uh, confuse quarterbacks, even veterans. So
Yep. Spags is really good at disguising his coverage pre-snap, making the offensive line adjust pre-snap or post-snap, basically. Marlon chimed in, said he's not picking against Mahomes until they get beat, especially in the postseason.
yeah, for sure,
Purdy gonna
man.
have to be great. Just speaking of Brock Purdy, really quick.
Yeah, let's
Um,
talk Brock Purdy.
if the 49ers don't win and he doesn't play a great game, what are your thoughts on him? Do you think it's, well, that's what you expect? He's a seventh round pick, or do you think he's achieved what he should have at least achieved, or will he finally get the due that he should be getting? I guess is the question. I guess.
This is something I talk about almost daily with my friend Jay, and like I know he's in his feelings sometimes about the stuff on media and all that, and the talk about Brock Purdy and the disrespect or the lack of respect or whatever you want to call it. To me, if you lose this game, I don't look at you any kind of negative way at all because you're facing a historically good defense, and Patrick Mahomes runs the offense, and you have the greatest tight end to ever breathe on the offense. Like,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to win this. I don't even know why they're favored, to be completely honest with you. I don't know what Vegas is thinking. I mean, objective. If I wasn't even a Chiefs fan, I would say that. I would say I don't know why, because like Marlon just said, who's picking against Mahomes? I said
I
this at
can
the beginning of the playoffs. Like, are you going to bet against the Chiefs?
I
I'm
can
not.
tell you why. I can tell you why 49ers are favored. The Super
The
Bowl is
bets,
in Vegas and it's expensive, and San Francisco is a very rich community. So you're getting those people coming over. That's
right?
why.
Right. They're moving the betting line.
Yep.
I don't fully
That's
understand all
why.
that stuff, man. I bet a little bit, but I don't fully understand how all that stuff works, man. But it doesn't make sense to me. But to answer the question, Brock Purdy has been above as advertised. Like he's well beyond what anybody expected him to be. The kid deserves nothing but credit. He is an amazing talent. He's perfect for them, right? Like maybe he's not the perfect quarterback for everybody. Maybe he's not the perfect quarterback for every system, but he's perfect for what they do. And
Yes.
he showed a lot in that Lions game, and he deserves nothing but credit. He actually showed some Mahomes esque stuff with his legs and moving around and extending the pocket. And that play to, I forget his name right now. Their big receiver, Juwan Jennings.
Hmm.
Um, that one hander by Juwan Jennings was an amazing freaking play, but it was also an amazing play by the quarterback because, yeah, it wasn't the most accurate pass, but that most quarterbacks don't even get to the opportunity to throw that pass. His escapability was really impressive in that game. So the dude, he's got a lot of talent and a lot of weapons and tools at his disposal.
No, most definitely. Um, and it's one of those things where great players aren't great all the time, but they're
Mm-hmm.
great when they need to be.
Yep.
That's something I truly believe in, things to that effect with it. Great players are usually good all the time, but then they're great when they need to be with that.
This is a great question from Marlon. If the Niners lose, how much falls on Shanahan? That's 3 Super Bowl losses, 2 as a head coach, 1 as an OC with the Falcons, and that Falcons one was absolutely terrible.
Yes. You want
So
to answer
yeah,
first?
no, go ahead. I want to hear you.
My To me, the most pressure in this game is on Shanahan. To me, the players that get their natural pressure and everything else, they got their want to. Warner, Bosa, and them, they lost to the Chiefs the first time. They're going to want to come out there and do it. The pressure to me is all on Shanahan. And the way he has called the playoffs, to be perfectly honest, I feel like he has felt the pressure. His first half of games, play calling wise and just being aggressive, I feel have been really conservative. He's just been super conservative. Feels like he doesn't want to make any plays to where we're going to come out and explode and set the tempo. Now, does he have a great team? Yes. 49ers are a great team. We've said that pretty much all year long about the San Francisco 49ers. So he knows his team's going to get back in there. One thing that I give him credit for against Detroit is he didn't panic. They were down 17. He got in the field goal range. They got stuffed. Instead of going for it and forcing it, he kicked the field goal because he knows there's a lot of time left in the game. He knows his team's good enough to make that comeback and everything else to that effect with it. Um, but the most pressure has to fall on Shanahan in this game because if he loses this game, I don't know where he goes at from here. I mean, the 49ers are set to rebuild. They got Purdy on that low deal and everything else. They'll be set to keep this roster together for at least 2 more years and things of that effect with it. But
So my
The
49ers
belief in
buddies
him has
say
to
it's
change.
one more year. I don't know their cap situation or whatever. I know they got some guys that are costly and some guys that are aging a little bit. So
Okay.
I don't know, man. Maybe 2 more years. I think you don't have to pay Purdy until the end of next year. So
Yeah.
that's probably where it comes in for 2 years, right? Where you can keep most of the core of that team together.
Correct. Because I think you can't renegotiate until the third year. I thought he signed a 4 year deal off his rookie year. Maybe it was only 3. I thought it was
No,
4.
it's four. It's four,
Yeah.
but they're
So
eligible at the end
for a
of their
resign.
third. And everybody expects you when you find a guy to sign him in that third offseason to
Yep.
re-sign him because you don't want it getting to where he's about to touch free agency. You don't want any of that. You don't want to have to tag a quarterback.
But correct. Even if they do, though, after that third year, they re sign him. I don't think that contract actually goes in until the fourth year, though, if I remember right.
So he's a second year quarterback now. I think we're saying the
Correct.
same thing. I think we're
Yeah.
saying the same thing.
He
Second
can
year quarterback
negotiate after the
now.
third year.
Yes. So he can negotiate at the end of next year. Actually, he may be able to negotiate this offseason. I'm not
I
sure.
thought he had to wait till after 3. Thought he had to wait till after 3, but I'm not.
Maybe.
I'm not
Yeah,
100
I'm not
percent sure.
I'm not 100% sure on that
Yeah.
either. At any rate, they need to sign him at the end of next season, period. Because you don't want him going into that fourth year of his contract without an extension. Correct? Is that the way you feel about it?
Yeah, that's the way I feel about it.
So,
Yeah, so
yeah.
it says I'm just looking up on it. It says he can't negotiate until after the final regular season game of the player's third contract year.
Okay. So that's correct then. So
Yeah.
at the end of next season, it's time to pay Purdy. They need to have that um, all ready to go, man. They need to have a deal ready to go. What do you pay Purdy? That's a question.
Let's see
The,
how he
the
wins. See if he
floor
wins.
the floor is 40 million.
Oh, easily. Heck, if I'm him, the floor. I hate to say it. If I'm him, the floor is 50 million. If Dak's getting 50, the floor is 50.
100%.
If I'm him,
Hundred
especially if I
percent.
win the Super Bowl, the
Yeah.
floor is 50.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but he might be the type of quarterback that takes a Brady or a Mahomes type deal. That
But that's not a APY issue. That's a structure issue,
yeah,
right? Because Mahomes, yeah, like everybody when we first signed that deal, everybody's like, "Oh, now they can't have a team anymore because he took all the money," and they were just, you know how people are. Anytime somebody has success, they're just praying and waiting for him to fail. But I was laughing my ass off because if you know anything about the way contracts are structured, you're looking at the Mahomes contract and saying that's a sweetheart deal.
yeah,
He 100% did a Tom Brady and uh, took a team friendly deal. And Purdy should do the same thing. I think quarterbacks need to start doing that. I think it should be the expectation. And if you want to call yourself a top 10 quarterback, you better be doing that, in my opinion, because it's not like you're getting paid less. You're
correct.
just doing a good structure.
Yeah, and that's what it's mostly about is that set structure and things to that effect with it, and signing a longer term deal so that way the team can actually spread that money out type
Yep.
situation, and that's what Mahomes did
Yep.
for
It's
Kansas
that
City in that situation.
it's that being able to move that money around and restructure again and restructure again. Oh, hey, we need to go sign a guy. Let's restructure and free up $10 million. It just makes the salary cap gymnastics a lot easier.
Most definitely with it.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good point about. But with Purdy and Shanahan, though, to me, Shanahan has the most pressure of anyone in this game. To be perfectly honest, I think he has more pressure than anyone in this game
Hmm.
for winning to get this Super Bowl win.
Actually, I got a play right here. I want to show of Purdy. It's him making a play happen that shouldn't have happened, and his ability, and just kind of let this guy shine.
Quarter for San Francisco, if I remember right.
I think so. I think so. Yeah. But if Purdy isn't special with his legs and his escapability and his ability to keep looking downfield, that play never happens, and then maybe that drive stalls out. Maybe they don't win the game.
You never know. You never know how it's gonna. That's why football is always just a game of inches, man. Just a game
Yeah.
of inches, a game of certain plays. Most games come down to about 5 total plays. To be perfectly
And
honest, 5 game-changer
credit
plays.
to Kyle Juszczyk too to be able to tiptoe on that sideline and
Yep.
catch it do a wide receiver move and catch that and tiptoe and keep it in bounds. That's kind of what I'm alluding to about their offense. About those guys are interchangeable, positionless football players that can go out and do things that normally their position doesn't do. So
What I like most about that is, if I'm a Chiefs fan, the fact that they followed that guy in motion and that guy still blitzed, and the 49ers were not ready for it.
yep,
And I have
yep,
a feeling Spags is seeing that type of situation, and he's going to be ready for it.
for sure. For sure. It seems like they have a really good way of just disguising those blitzes and always bringing the guy that you don't think is coming.
Yep.
The one that you think is coming ends up dropping into coverage. The one that you think isn't coming ends up making your quarterback hurt. So McDuffie and Snead are both really good at blitzing. I think that they'll probably at least each have one pressure, at least one pressure.
Yeah. McDuffie finished the year with 3 sacks, if I remember right, looking at that.
Yep.
So really good pressure guy. Really good.
Yep. Yep. Snead just as good. They just stopped doing it as much because they wanted him in coverage, and it's like, hey, we can't take him out of coverage very
Yeah.
often. So they use that sparingly, but I'm guessing in the Super Bowl we're gonna go ahead and pull that one out. So and then another thing I guess we could talk about before we get off. I'm excited to see what kind of craziness Andy Reid's gonna break out, man. Like
Oh, he's going to do something.
what kind of nuts stuff is he gonna bring out from 1947 Rose Bowl or whatever, right? Like what kind of old school and I wonder, almost curious if we're gonna see some maybe my buddy Kyle just texted me the one that says he likes to eat dirt. He says he silenced the whole room. Yeah. But no, I'm just curious to see if we might see some like wing T or something crazy. That's the one thing I haven't seen him show yet.
I could see a Mahomes throwback pass coming
Yeah.
to Mahomes.
Yeah.
Basically a Philly special type play
I want
coming
to
out.
see him do the empty again. Do you remember they did that on Christmas Day?
Is that
Where they didn't have anybody in the backfield. They didn't have not a soul in the backfield.
oh no. Was that the one they fumbled?
No, that was
No.
they scored. That was the Pacheco touchdown.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. They motioned Pacheco into the backfield and ran with him, and it was like I was at the stadium for that one, and I'm like I was losing my stuff, man. I was losing it. I was like, what? Who does that? Like who? What kind of creative player Madden stuff are we doing here? Like nobody in the backfield, and they motioned Pacheco in, snapped it to him, and ran a fake reverse for the touchdown. Pretty interesting stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they might bring. But you know what? Kyle might bring something creative. I think Kyle needs to bring something
I think he needs
outside
to.
the box.
I just think he needs to be aggressive from the get go and attack Kansas City's defense. That's just.
Where do you do that though? Who's the guy that you pick on? Because I
I don't
got an
know.
answer for you.
I don't really know if there's a guy that I have set to pick on. But what if you open up the game going no huddle
Mm,
against that defense?
yeah,
I mean, I'm
yeah.
just thinking of something like that. I'm
They
just
like
going
to
no huddle.
communicate.
Yeah, rapid fire. Don't let them communicate. Doing those type of things against that defense.
That might be really interesting. I would think about doing that for sure because Kansas City's defense loves to communicate. They love to
Yes.
line up. Bolton is always directing traffic and getting everybody set up, kind of like Warner does. But yeah,
Well, it
man,
won't
I think
work.
that's a good. That's a good. Nope, won't
Arturo
work.
put in. Nope, won't work. Oh, sorry. He's a big 49er hater, so nothing's going to work for San Francisco.
Well, I
According to Art.
agree. I agree. I've been real nice all day, giving the
Hey man,
49ers all their credit, and
you're a
now
Chiefs
I'm
fan,
done
man.
with
Let it
that.
go. Let it
I'm done
go.
with it. I honestly, you want to know my real thoughts on this? I don't think it's a
Yeah.
good matchup for the 49ers. I think they're in trouble. I think Spagnuolo is especially good at making young quarterbacks look bad. He makes great quarterbacks look average. He makes young quarterbacks look bad. And our offense is not a good matchup for that defense, man. That defense has not been what it is in the past. They're kind of living off of their reputation. They haven't been very good. Andy is especially good at tearing up their match coverage when they run it. So I hope to God they run a bunch of that cover 6 match garbage because it's going to get torn up. It's going to get torn up. It's going to get exposed, and it ain't going to be pretty.
There you go. Let them have it, man. Let them
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah. That's just my true thoughts on it. I gave my thoughts on how I would attack the Chiefs and all that. I think if I were going to attack the Chiefs, I'm probably going to – we didn't talk about who we were going to sacrifice to Williams. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm going to sacrifice Mike Dana to the left tackle gods over there of Williams and just let him have it. I'm like, okay, well, sorry, Mike. But I'm attacking him, and then Shamari Connor is a rookie who's been playing a ton of safety for us. So he's one of the only rookies that's getting any kind of play time right now. So I'm going to try to see if I can get a matchup with him and maybe Kittle or possibly Debo. I'll try to go with that. That's maybe your best hope.
I said it's gonna be a fun game to watch. I think.
Yeah.
With what's going to happen. Hey, real quick before we get off, do you want to go into some of the postseason awards? Because the NFL is going to have their awards show on Thursday night, I believe, is when it's going to be.
Hell yeah, man.
And I guess
hey guys, if you haven't already given us a like, please do so. It helps us a lot. We're sitting at 7 likes right now. I know we've had off and on 7 people in the chat. So if everybody liked, thank you. I appreciate that. If you haven't liked yet, take that couple seconds and hit the like button. It helps us a lot.
Correct. So first one I got, Coach of the Year. Who do you got? I got the finalists here. If you want to go through Coach of the Year finalists, or do you have someone in your mind who you think should win it?
Man, Coach of the Year. I gotta go with my dude at Green Bay, man.
LaFleur?
Yeah.
They
weren't supposed to be there. They weren't supposed to be there, man. They weren't supposed to be there. They were not supposed to make the playoffs. That was supposed to be a terrible football team. That quarterback was not supposed to be good. That whole team was supposed to be garbage. They made the playoffs and pushed the 49ers to the limit.
I guess. I'm going DeMeco Ryans, Houston Texans.
I love that one too. Yeah.
To me,
I love that Ryans.
Houston wasn't supposed to win 2 games this year.
Yep.
Just to be perfectly honest. They weren't supposed to win 2 games. People told him not to take the job because of what Houston's done with their previous coaches and everything else. So for me, on that standpoint, I go DeMeco Ryans on that one.
I'm 100% behind that one as well, just to be clear. But I just wanted to give LaFleur some love.
Gotcha. Comeback Player of the Year. You want the finalists? Finalists are Flacco, Hamlin, Baker, Matthew Stafford, and Tua. I already know who you're not going to give it to.
Yeah. Baker, are we kidding? So it looks like the chat, before we move on, it looks like everybody is with DeMeco Ryans. Everybody's saying, we got a Rams fan that's saying McVay. Get out of here with that. Come on, man. But yeah. So yeah, it looks like everybody's with us on that. So yeah, so those are your finalists on that. Who are you going with, man?
Comeback Player of the Year, I probably give to Baker Mayfield, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
I don't give it to Stafford or Tua or anything to that effect with it. Hamlin, I guess you could give it to him. I mean, that's who's going to probably win, but he didn't really do much for Buffalo.
I get it. The guy, I understand why people want to see him win, but like if we live in a football world, no, he can't win comeback player of the world. He didn't play. Like he was a special teams player at best.
That's my point too. And then I mean Flacco, yeah, I could see it. I just don't think he played long enough this year. That's my thing with Flacco. I like Flacco.
I like Flacco. He's number 2 for me. Flacco's number 2 for me. just because of what he did, I think it's super cool. I think it's awesome, but I agree with you. He just didn't play enough, and I'm going to go with Baker as well.
Okay. All right. Rookie of the year, offensive. I'm gonna bring it down to the two guys that have. There's other guys nominated, but to me, it's either between Puka or C.J. Stroud, and I'm going C.J. Stroud because of the quarterback.
I think you have to go CJ. I
Yep.
mean, like number one, I don't want to make the positional value thing the reason, but like you said with the argument for D'Amico, that team was not supposed to be good, and that team was. He had a outstanding rookie year, outstanding, especially with the low number of turnovers. What do you have, five or
Yes.
six?
Yeah, I think 5 interceptions. I think he played through this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a
incredible year.
remarkable season.
Way to take care of the ball, man, and like coaches love that. You can win around that. I don't need you to throw 50 touchdowns, but I do need you to not throw a ton of interceptions, which he didn't. So, yeah.
Offensive player of the year. Art's gonna always pick Puka Nacua. That's who he's gonna go with, no matter
Nachua.
what. Yeah, he's gonna go with him.
Pikachu! Pikachu!
All right. Offensive player of the year. Got anyone in your mind? It's between the finalists are Tyreek Hill, Lamar Jackson, C.D. Lamb, um, Christian McCaffrey, and Dak Prescott.
All right, I'm going to go first on this one. I am picking Christian McCaffrey because I know they're not going to do the right thing and give him the MVP. So I think you have to give him the Offensive Player of the Year because I think he really actually is the MVP of the league.
I don't disagree with that, so that's why I pick offensive player of the year as Tyreek Hill, in my opinion.
Okay, I think that's reasonable. I
Yeah.
think that's reasonable. I think that dude did a ton. I think Miami isn't the same without him. And my God, if he had a quarterback.
Yes. All right. Defensive player of the year. TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, um, Garrett, Mason Crosby, and Deron Bland.
You mean Max Crosby?
Max Crosby. Sorry, Max Crosby and Miles
Yeah.
Garrett.
I'm going Max Crosby on this one. It's hard for me as a Chiefs fan to acknowledge a Raider, but actually, I love that guy, man. I love what he brings. I love the energy he brings. He makes that entire team better than it actually is because their whole roster is hot garbage. And any game they win is probably because Max Crosby played his ass off and destroyed an entire offense by himself.
No, he's. If I went by total effort, I'm probably going to go Crosby. If I went by the guy that has the biggest motor, most games played, most plays played, and everything else. I thought Miles Garrett fell off toward the end of the year.
Yep.
I'm going to go T.J. Watt. I believe he won it last year. I'm going T.J. Watt. Steelers' defense is just a totally different defense when he's not on the field.
Yep.
I think he finished the year with 19 sacks again this year. The guy is amazing. T.J. Watt would be my pick in that category. Garrett had a great start to the year. He just fell off to me toward the end of the year and didn't continue, and that's why I don't go with Miles Garrett on that situation.
Somebody block Arturo. Oh man, that's funny stuff.
Yeah,
so yeah, I agree with you on that, TJ. I mean, between him and Max for me, and I got to give Max his due.
All right, and then MVP. I think we actually both agree on this, but the 5 finalists. I want to see if you change your mind on this. You got Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, CMC, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen.
I will say this: if it's my award to give and I get to make the call, it's going to Christian. Number one, I'm just tired of the thing being a quarterback award.
Yep.
And number two, I don't think the 49ers are anywhere near what they are without him, which is the definition of, hey, that's an MVP. You're the most valuable player on that football team. I know that the 49ers fans are all on Brock Purdy's jock, and they love the guy, and they've been quarterback hungry for years. But let's be real. CMC is the best player on that team.
No, I don't disagree. I go with Christian McCaffrey as well.
Trent Williams is actually the best freaking player on that team, but they ain't gonna give it to a tackle. So
No. And as much credit as Purdy gets for the way he's playing, he almost kind of coincides for when Christian McCaffrey came into full flow of that offense. If you think
yeah,
about it, so
yeah,
it's almost timing is almost perfect for that.
yep.
Um, so I mean, who knows how Purdy actually could be without CMC? And I'm not trying to throw shade at Purdy or anything to that effect with it, but it's kind of
It's the conversations that you have to have, and
yeah,
49ers fans are going to have to get out of their damn feelings about it because this is when you have an elite quarterback rise. And if you want to be an elite quarterback, these are the conversations that people have about elite quarterbacks. For the longest time, Patrick Mahomes couldn't do it without the weapons he had. That was the argument. Weapons, weapons, weapons. He has all the weapons. And then, it's always something, right? It's always something, always some reason why you're not the best, right? Like, until you take every excuse out of the book, people are not going to give you your due. 49ers fans need to relax and just accept that and understand that it takes time to get to the top, man. You don't go play 18, 19, 20 games and then get crowned. That's not the way it works.
hey, I mean, we've had the argument. We've argued offline before. I said you guys would miss Tyreek Hill. You're like Super Bowl
Yep.
early in the season. What was everybody saying? No
Yep.
Brock Purdy or not. I'm not. I'm sorry. No Eric Bieniemy.
Yep.
Where you guys at? Super Bowl.
Yep.
So I mean, just keep
Yeah.
overcoming, keep proving things wrong, and
That's the answer, man, for Brock
yeah,
Purdy. If he wants his due and he wants his credit and he wants people to shut up, shut him up.
yep,
A big start to that would be beating the best in the world.
most
Like,
definitely.
yeah, that would be a big step because I know that other NFL franchises and fan bases want to have their goat killer, if you want to call it that, because Eli Manning was that for Brady, and I know that's been a thing on Twitter is that everybody's kind of who's going to be the goat killer of this era, and they think Brock Purdy's going to be that. So step up and do it, kid.
Yep, get it done
Yeah,
and see what
he
happens for him.
ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. He's gonna have a real bad day. Real
I
bad
almost
day.
kind of want us to go. If I can get out of work, I almost like for us to go live right after the Super Bowl ends.
After the Super Bowl, it's dangerous for me to commit to that because if we
I
fucking
know,
lose,
I know.
sorry,
That's
watch my
I know.
language there.
No, you're good.
Try not to
No, I
watch
know.
f bombs, but yeah, man, if we lose, bro, I ain't gonna be in a real good mood. But I will come on. I will come on. But the way I feel about it too. Honestly, I don't want to be the glad to be here kind of guy because I want to win it and I want to cement the legacy and cement the dynasty and say because every year it's is this the official start of they've been talking about the official start of the Chiefs dynasty for like 3 years.
Yeah,
So like to me, I want to win it and just be like, dude, we've been in a dynasty. You guys are slow. But at the same time, this was a down year for us. Our down year is a Super Bowl run. Like the team didn't look good at the middle of the year. Defense was good pretty much all year. The offense was not very good, and there was problems with this team. And credit the coaching, credit the players, credit all the veterans in there that got the locker room straight and put those guys together and made a Super Bowl run because I didn't there were times I just outright said this ain't our year. This ain't our year.
so, real quick before we wrap up, because we've been going at it for an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, and I know your big thing is you said you would come back to wrestling when The Rock showed up.
Yeah.
So I'm addressing Patterson's comment right now about the free Cody because it's been trending on X like crazy since this has all happened and The Rock took Cody's main event from him at WrestleMania. Me personally, as a fan, I'm actually happy The Rock's fighting Roman Reigns because now it's not predictable on who's going to win
Yeah.
or that standpoint of it. And there's storylines I could go into on how I would write the story for WWE at this point. But are you officially back into WWE a little bit now that The Rock is back?
Can you smell what the Rock is cooking? Let's go, baby. I'm back.
So you're
Yeah,
back in.
man. Actually, one of my buddies, a good buddy of mine, Jamil, he may or may not be in the chat. I don't know. But he's a huge wrestling fan as well. He was kind of in my ear about getting back into it as well when he watched one of our episodes and you were talking about it. So he's encouraging me. He also wants to come on here and talk wrestling with you.
I'd love to do it.
Yeah, he's super big into that. So he was asking for a guest spot to come talk some wrestling. And it sounds like, when is WrestleMania?
April 2nd and 3rd, I believe, are the days in Philadelphia.
Okay, so we got some time, and April is right around Combine time. But other than that, there ain't a lot going on in April.
Yep.
So we can definitely have time to talk some wrestling and bring some people on and talk some mess and get back into that. I need to start watching. How do you recommend that I get back into this? Because I don't understand the whole SmackDown versus Raw versus all of that stuff. Like, I kind of know about it.
Yeah, those are just two different brands or two different shows. They're not really against each other, so you don't have to worry about that.
But they have different rosters, right?
Yeah, well, kind of. Wrestlers will show up on both shows. So,
okay.
Yeah, some of the wrestlers will show up on both shows. Roman Reigns is pretty much contained to SmackDown. When he shows up, he's only shown up 4 times in the past 6 months, I want to say, on the show.
Jeez.
Yeah. As far as that goes, yeah, I'm a huge Bloodline fan. That's the whole Roman Reigns kind of storyline going on with that. Is the Bloodline and everything else. Pat McAfee is now doing Raw. Okay. That's on the USA Network. That's actually going on right now. Pat McAfee's hosting that show right now along with Michael Cole. That's probably the best announced team. But if you really want to get caught up, or if you can't catch a full episode of SmackDown or Raw, there is a guy I watch, and I've given promotion to WWE What Culture on YouTube. The guy's name is Simon. He does a quick recap in about 15 minutes on what happens on SmackDown, what happens on Raw.
Awesome.
And he just does a quick recap, and he's part of the reason that got me caught up fully with WWE and everything
like
else.
What channels are they on, man? I don't even know what channel it is on anymore.
SmackDown is currently on Fox. That's going to end in October.
Okay.
Is when that contract ends. And then that's going to switch over to the USA Network, I believe.
Yeah.
And then beginning of next year, Raw is actually going to Netflix. Going to be streamed live on Netflix.
Yeah. Hey, we've been doing a great stream, man, and I want to keep it going because I got one more question for you.
All right.
How you feeling about Embiid, man?
Oh, man, I was trying to get over all this stuff, man. It's
I wouldn't get out of here without that, bro. I wasn't getting out of here without that. I'm a huge Embiid fan, by the way.
Art and my whole crew knows how I feel. I feel like I'm jinxed, man. If you want to know the truth, I feel like I'm jinxed.
I am the same exact way. That's when I stopped watching as well. So I'm trying to get back into it, bro.
But with Embiid, man, yeah, man, basketball season's over for me. I'm not really into watching it anymore. So, I mean, we're going to once the Super Bowl hits, we're going to go into our off-season stuff. We're just going to basically basketball's bypassed as far as I'm concerned. We might mention it on a blip or two here and there.
Oh, Lord, man. Is it that bad, bro? Is it that
man.
bad? So let me ask you this, because there's the new rule with the MVP, and that they have to play so many games to be eligible for the MVP. Was it 65 games?
Yep, 65 games for any postseason awards. Do
you think that had any effect on Embiid playing maybe before he was supposed to?
No, I truly don't think so. I believe the fact that the game was on TV, because the NBA has a TV rule about its stars, had more to do with Embiid playing, not the 65 games itself.
Let's go, Marlon. I'm with you. Lakers, baby. Lakers all day. I'll be back as soon as that dope LeBron leaves.
But yeah, I get the 65 game rule. What sucks for NBA players is their contracts are affected by the postseason awards for how big of an extension they can sign. Yep. So like Maurice Halliburton in Indiana, he technically probably shouldn't be playing. He has a bad hamstring. And then the reason why he's playing 22 minutes a game and then they're pulling him out is so he can reach the 65 game plateau. Otherwise, if he doesn't win a postseason award, it's cost him $40 million different in his contract.
That's ridiculous. $40 million?
Yes. Yes, so if he wins, if he gets named first, second team All NBA, he is eligible for a $40 million extra bonus extension for his contract.
Lord Almighty, dude, that's crazy. See, I
Yeah,
don't see now. That was something that I didn't hear all the sports guys talking about with the 65 game rule. I didn't hear how it affects their pay, and I'm not a big fan of that.
yeah,
I understand why it's there, and it's there because of the new contract, the new TV deal. The TV people came to him and said, "Hey, your star players aren't even playing in
correct.
these games. Like, we're not gonna televise the best game of the week, and then LeBron's sitting on his ass on the sideline in a suit. Like, enough of that." So I
But
get where they're coming from, but you can't be messing with people's money either, man.
but what's dumb about the whole thing with the people's money is that's controlled by the media. The media votes who's on first and second team. That's why Klay Thompson from the Golden State Warriors hates the media because there was a year he was eligible. If he would have got second team All NBA, he'd have been eligible for a huge extension. But they gave it
Yeah,
to Terry Rozier, I think, that year instead, if I remember correctly. I can't remember for sure who the player was. I
yeah.
want to say it was. I want to say it was Terry
I
Rozier.
think it was, dude. If I remember right,
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
he got it. So therefore, while Thompson could sign an extension, it wasn't that big bonus bump that he could have got by being named second team All NBA. So he hates the media because of that.
Speaking of Clay, I'm seeing some stuff go around the internet here lately that's saying free Steph.
I've seen people wondered if he's going to go to the Lakers or LeBron might go to the Warriors. I don't know, but
Yeah,
ain't
I
none of
don't
that
know.
happening. Ain't none of that happening.
I'd be ecstatic. I'd be ecstatic to have Steph on the team, man. Steph's a guy I actually like. Not a big LeBron fan, but I don't think you can get anything about out of LeBron. And then, like, I think he's got the player option this year, so he
Correct.
can. He's. I assume he's going to opt out. I don't know. Like, do you opt out though? Because you're probably not getting that same money at 39 years old, right?
Oh, LeBron will get the money.
You think?
Yeah. Well, NBA's weird with their contracts. The Lakers can offer him more money than anybody else can, which is one of
Right.
the weird things about the NBA and stuff like that. But LeBron says he wants to play with his son because his son is eligible to come to the NBA next year, and
So
LeBron
that's
says
what
he
I'm
wants to play
saying.
with
If
his
you're
son.
LeBron, do you not opt out so you can guarantee that you go play with your son?
He might. I mean, he might do it. He doesn't need the money anymore at that point. Like he's set, so it might just
Yeah.
be something that he wants to go do.
Yeah. And Patterson's saying depends on what his son does.
Yep.
Yeah, it does. It does. So it'll be interesting. I do like the drama that plays out in the off season of the NBA and like all that stuff. But kind of to Art's point, man, like players didn't used to team up like they do now. You know, like
Yeah,
that
it's
wasn't a
gone.
thing.
The rivalry competition part of it's gone, which is what I hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marlon, I don't know if his son is draft worthy or not. Um, I'm just
What are
to
you
be perfect.
what are you
To be per-
seeing that he's not draft worthy? Because the stuff I've seen, I just said to be completely transparent, I've only seen highlights,
Mhm.
but like he looks the part.
He looks the part. NBA scouts a while ago have said that he'd be a second round draft pick if he came
Mm,
out. But if LeBron says he's going to go to whatever team drafts him, now he's probably a first round draft pick because if you get LeBron with him, you're going to draft the son.
right?
Like
Isn't that
that's just
crazy?
that's just the
Does that
problem that
push
comes
him
with
into
it.
the lottery?
I mean, it could. The thing I'm most happy for LeBron's son is the fact that he's actually even playing, considering he had the heart condition and everything in the offseason. I don't know if you heard about that, but he passed out at practice, and they actually had to take him to a
Yeah,
whole bunch of medical research and everything else. So
yeah,
it's good to just see his son out there playing um, basketball. And maybe it's not a thing where he even wants to necessarily play with them. Maybe he just wants to play against his son for a year.
maybe. Yeah,
Just,
maybe. Marlon says he may need all 4 years.
he might. I don't know.
I don't. I mean, is that such a bad thing? I know the culture in basketball is one and done, but is it such a bad thing to stay and polish it up? I mean, I know you start to lose draft stock the older you are in the NBA. They want those 18-year-olds, but
Yeah.
is that really working out though? Because a lot of these 18-year-olds they draft just don't work out, man. Like, what's wrong with drafting some of the older guys? I know the Lakers had some success with drafting guys that were a little bit older.
Yeah, it's just believed that if you had to stay in college for more than 2 years, you're not good.
Yeah.
That's just the belief with it. Yeah, Patterson says Jay Uso versus Gunther. Gunther is the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in WWE history right now.
Jeez. How long has he
Gunther
had the
is.
belt?
I don't remember the exact days. I know it's been over a year. I couldn't tell you the exact days on that.
Nice.
He hasn't came close to Roman Reigns though. Roman Reigns has been the champ for over 3 years, approaching Hulk Hogan's record number.
3 years?
Yes, it's over 3 years.
What is that? Come on, man.
He's acknowledge him. Acknowledge him. You don't know nothing about that though. You gotta acknowledge
I
it.
know one thing. I'm sitting at the head of the damn table. That's what I know. See, I know some stuff. I know some
You know a
stuff.
little bit. Probably see me wearing my head of the table shirt to practice.
Yeah, I remember when the Sixers and Lakers passed on Tatum for Fultz and Ball. Yeah, I agree. I
You
do
mean when my
remember that.
Sixers traded you guys an extra first round pick so we could take Markelle Fultz? Is that what he means? That was brilliant.
Bronny's Kwame Brown. Bronny isn't a big man, is he? Is he a
No,
four?
I think he's just talking about his potential and playing ability. Even
Gotcha.
though Kwame played in the league for a little bit,
Yeah, but
he could set some good picks.
he was one of those guys. He got drafted pretty young too. Like he one of the first of the 18-year-olds.
He came straight out of high school, and the reason why he went number one in the draft
Well, not
was
one of the
because
first because that's way back. Garnett
yeah,
and all them dudes.
he got drafted number one, and the reason why he got drafted number one by Michael Jordan was because Michael Jordan did not want to draft Jay Williams from Duke.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, yep. And then I remember something with Michael in practice with Kwame. Like, didn't he post him up or some shit in practice?
I think so. Kwame's biggest problem was he just had small hands. But I
Yeah.
ain't gonna say nothing bad about Kwame because if this gets back to him, he's gonna blast us on the internet, man.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, he's gonna.
Kwame was a Laker for a while. He was okay with the Lakers. He was a good role player with the Lakers, but yeah, just a guy that never met his potential.
Yeah, like I said, he was in the league for quite a while.
I know he had some run-ins with Kobe. I know that.
Yep,
But everybody had run-ins with Kobe, man.
pretty much.
Yeah. Like if you ain't doing what you're supposed to, Kobe's gonna be in your face. You know, he'd punch you in the face like Michael did Steve Kerr. All right, bro. Like we're right at 2 hours, man. I'm done if you're done.
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thank you guys all for chiming in, chatting. Love having the chat.
Yeah.
Like I said, share this. Give thumbs up, like, subscribe, do all those good things on YouTube.
Yeah, we're at 8 likes, so that's good. I know it's a tiny number right now, but the more you guys watch the whole stream and give likes and interact and all that stuff, the more that the algorithm says, okay, people actually like this content, and then they push that out to people's pages and they see it, and then we can pick up a little bit of steam, hopefully.
Yeah. And be on the lookout for some shorter videos. We'll be posting some shorter videos too. Just some random stuff coming up.
I need to get back on my game with cutting shorts out of these. I've been bad at that.
Oh, so. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I wish I could be around you when the Chiefs. I wish I could be around you during the Super Bowl and get your live reaction on some things.
It's not a safe place to be, man. It's not a freaking safe place, even when we're winning, dude. I'll tell you, we'll end on this. One little last quick story, man. The first time we won the Super Bowl in my lifetime, so 54, I chose to go to one of my best friends' house for a Super Bowl party, and one of my other good friends is a 49ers fan. And so we're both hardcore football fans and would rather just watch our teams at home. But we're in a full house full of drunks and a bunch of people not watching the game. They're eating effing nachos and talking about crap I don't care about. And me and my 49ers buddy are sitting side by side on the couch, just like gritting through this thing. We're down by 10 points, 11 points, whatever it was. And Mahomes throws that deep ball to Tyreek, and I jump up out of excitement. I wasn't talking shit to him or anything like that. I just jump up out of sheer excitement. Yeah, baby. And when I did, I stepped on his foot. This dude got so pissed, dude. He left, went home, was like, I ain't doing this stuff. Me and him were out yelling at each other in the driveway. I said, fine, I'm going home. I started walking home. Somebody had to come get me, dude. They're like, no, just come back and watch the end of the game. I almost missed the comeback. I was not happy, dude. And since then, I have promised myself that I will never watch a Chiefs Super Bowl with anybody but my children because they already know. They already know, and they're just as bad. So, yeah. But that's it, man. 2 hours, great stream. Had a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Any
Yes,
last
thank you very
words?
much. Good thoughts, good words, good deeds. Keep that on your mind. Take care of each other.
All right, bro.